Driving Culture 4. This is Hypebeast Radio. I'm Jarrell Stinney here with
Ben Rosen.
And we're sitting down with Eric Emanuel.
Hello.
How you doing today, man?
Yeah.
I'm well. It's a little bit snowy, but we're good. We're here.
Oh, yeah, we're handling the bomb cyclone right now, the nor'easter. We're handling between, 6 and 12 inches of snow. We didn't get a full snow day out of it. Everybody's upset. We're in an office environment.
Ready to work.
Yeah, basically. So how have you been, man? But let's get a little intro out of the way. So for those people that don't know you, how would you introduce what you do and give a brief little...
I sort of have I have a namesake label, and it all ties back to sports. Mm-hmm. It's a higher end sportswear, I would say. So it's like juxtaposing cashmere on a tearaway pant or a mohair bull short. Just taking iconic sports silhouettes and sort of twisting them up a little bit, having a little fun with it. Yeah.
And how long have you been doing that for?
It's been going for the past 4 years. So I graduated from FIT in 2013 in the marketing program. And then I sort of was sitting there like, oh, what am I going to do? So I got started and I was making these jerseys where I would just sort of, so I would recreate sports jerseys with Python accents, similar to what Don C was doing with the hats, but I sort of wanted to find my own lane and figure out a way to capture that market. So the jerseys were the first thing that came to mind.
Wow. And this is, so I was going to ask actually if you had ever had that comparison made between you and Don C. Is that something that comes up often? Or?
It used to come up a lot, and it still does, but that's going to happen when you're in the same world of sportswear. He does it well. He does it extremely well, and I feel like I do the same. So it's sort of,
Is it cool that it's like part of a lineage? Is it like...
Yeah, it's cool. And I sort of, in the beginning, I was paying homage to him. Just, again, I wanted to go. It was that market that I loved. It was a very nostalgic sportswear moment, but with a high-end twist. So, I just sort of found my path and went with it. It was crazy because the first jersey I ever made, I was just in the dorm room. And at the time, Ian Connor was there. So this is week 1. So Ian Connor was with me at the dorms. He wore the jersey. And then like 5 days later, I was looking at TMZ and Rocky walked across the screen wearing the jersey. And that was sort of like the light bulb moment where I was like, oh my God, this may work. And then it sort of just, the jerseys became like a moment in hip hop. You had A$AP Rocky, Wiz Khalifa, Theophilus London, Travis Scott. I sort of, it was like a snowball effect. Once one was in it, it kept going. My favorite person to date is just Fabulous, just because he sort of embodied the whole sportswear vibe that I was after when I was a kid.
He's the original throwback king.
Exactly. So when he reached out to me, I was just excited. And that was the only moment I really fanned out, just because he was sort of the demographic I was going after, and I had it. So
yeah. And so how long after you started doing jerseys did you decide to transition from that into doing like sports apparel in general?
So the jerseys became a little bit too easy. It was just like put snakeskin here, do this, do that. And then, obviously other people started doing it. So I sort of wanted to transition out of it. So 2 years after I was doing the jerseys, about 2015, I started making cut and sew pieces. So the first thing I did was the Chicago Bulls short, which was always my favorite short. I'm a Knicks fan, but that silhouette was the most iconic. So I did it in like a sand, salmon, and navy colorway. And it sort of took off, and I was like, oh, wow, this will work. And ever since then, it's sort of just been like a when I feel like it type of thing. There's never collections. It's never built out, on a calendar year. But yeah, so it went from the basketball shorts to the tearaway pants, and it just kept going.
And do you run it? Do you stock it in stores, or is it mostly done online, or is it made to order?
It's mostly e-com.
Were the jerseys done made to order?
The jerseys were made to order, yes.
Okay.
So it was a very custom operation, and then so I'd have clients come in, pick what they wanted, and we would sort of go from there. I would give my input, they would give theirs, and we'd run with it. This now, the business is generally e-com, and I've done releases in stores like little capsules. There's one at Union, one at the most recently UNKNWN in Miami. I'm trying to think what else. There have been others. Patron of the New had them for a bit. So I just sort of, drop it when I feel like it, and it's sort of working for me that way.
That's cool.
Yeah, and you mentioned that production's done here in New York.
Yep. God, if production wasn't done in New York, I would have nothing to do all day. So I run, my general day is like I'll wake up, go to the factories, and sit and bother them all day just making sure things are right and perfecting the fit, so on. So generally I spend the day in the factory, and then all the textiles are also sourced in the US, so it's all an American made product, which is something I stand behind.
Wow, so it's like a literal from start to finish, like made in New York City, if not the United States.
Yeah, start to finish, it's always produced in New York, but everything is sourced all throughout the United States, which is super cool.
Yeah, I think I read that you like got, where do you source python skin in America?
The python was coming from a farm in Florida, and the showroom was in New York, which was like the weirdest thing. At first I was paying an arm and a leg. I had no idea about the business side of things. I sort of just wanted to make a product. And so I paid whatever I had to pay just to get my idea out there. And then through like the span of a year, I sort of figured out how production works, how to source. And yeah, so it was an uphill battle.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, how crazy are like Floridian python skin dealers? Like,
yeah, the best part about those showrooms is you see so many walks of life coming through.
Yeah.
They may do production for Coach, and then they have me. So it's like the showroom has such an array of people coming through. And I think, God, ever since the PythonSkin hat came back to $150, a lot of kids in our realm sort of attached to that.
Yeah.
And so you would see them passing through the showroom, everyone just trying to create an idea. So it was cool.
Yeah, I think one complaint that we hear often from like New York-based fashion designers is how difficult it is to like manufacture here in New York. So they like prefer to manufacture in LA. Is that something that you find like trouble with, like manufacturing here?
It's expensive to manufacture here. If you go to LA, I know that you definitely get a better price, but I like to be so hands-on that I can, it's sort of my baby, I like to look at it every day and just figure out, what we can do to make it better. If you're dealing with someone in LA, I would personally have to email back and forth, phone calls. A lot of stuff gets lost in translation, so I just don't think I would have a better end product. So aside from the price, it's extremely easy. The people in New York are like fun to talk to. Again, it's people you wouldn't normally deal with, but that's what makes it so awesome. And in a New York factory, you have so many different people producing so many different products. And these facilities can do it all. It's crazy.
And you also mentioned, like we said at the beginning, it's like there's a snowstorm out right now, but like the garment
They're
district is still working.
This past weekend, I had to figure something out, and I was like, on the off chance I passed by the factory on a Sunday, rang the bell, they were there. So they work until it could be 11 p.m. at night. It's something everyone should see once if you're in this industry. It's just very like surreal.
Yeah, I feel like not a lot of people actually like peek behind that curtain. Like,
no,
everybody loves looking at the final product and the like the glossy product shots.
Exactly.
But I would be really excited to see more people actually kind of like show that.
Yeah, my product shots are beautiful, but if you go in the factory where it's made, it's very gritty. It's a very different feel. And sometimes I'll go into the factory and show them, this is how it was. The editorial. I'll show them the editorial, and they'll be like, oh my goodness, we did, and it's. It's just crazy
you
to
bring
see
the final product back in.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that, like, with the product, when you're designing, like they're designed with the intention of the fittings being right and stuff like that. So how is that as far as like trying to get the accurate fit for a sports angle?
A fit on a sports product is generally somewhat easy just because they're baggier silhouettes. So it's not very technical. And it's a silhouette that most people, if they're buying it online, they already know how it fits. A bull short has fit the same way so it's about trying to switch it up a little bit. Like if you shorten the short, that's what I like, a short that falls above the knee. So it's, just perfecting that fit takes, I would say, even 2 months, just getting it right and then figuring it out. And then as far as production in New York, I can hammer it out quick. Again, you're so hands-on that.
Yeah, and you've had a couple to switch gears a little bit. You had a couple, like you said, quick strike capsule collections pretty recently as well. Like you had the one a couple weeks back at the Sheck West.
Oh yeah, that was for All Star. Sheck is like, to me, Sheck is like the brightest mind around right now. He's good for the kids. He's good for New York, but he's also good for the kids just because he's such a beautiful human.
Yeah. We had him in here a couple of days ago, and he was talking about Mud Boy and stuff like that. I don't know how much of that we're allowed to talk about, but
I would just keep it at Mud Boy.
I think I would just keep it at Mud Boy.
He's played songs that so he's working on the album right now, and he's played songs that are just, he's gonna be a rock star.
Yeah.
Point blank period. And so I used him for the editorial for the All Star stuff. I had a pop up at Fred Siegel, so we used him for the editorial just because, again, he's someone I knew. When he had 2 songs on SoundCloud, whatever, he's like a little brother, but not a little brother because he's actually an adult.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a Fred Siegel pop-up in LA. We took vintage T-shirts and embroidered my logo on it. We had a motocross all-star jersey, and then I replicated the shorts from 1988 All-Star Game with no logos. That's what I prefer. Like,
Cleaner.
if you're paying a premium, I don't need you to be a billboard.
Right.
I don't know.
And then you also had I think there was like an installation with the guys from New York Sunshine, right?
Yes, we just worked on New York Sunshine again. Beautiful people.
I love those guys.
Yeah, they just want to make a good product, which is the end game. And they're in the same world as me, as producing things in New York. They also do LA, but
they love like the whole retro basketball.
They love basketball, and it's cool how we can fuse it with sort of their aesthetic, which is not really sports driven. Well, actually, no. They have the flaming hoops, all of that. So yeah, take the art world and sort of throw it into the apparel industry. What we did with them was, and I have them on right now, is a Carhartt double knee pant. We took that, which is a general like contractor workwear, and we turned it into a mesh short. It just came out beautiful. It's something I would have never thought of had they not presented me with the idea. So
yeah, shout out to John and Luke. Those guys are great.
The best guys.
Yeah, and you mentioned while you were out there for All-Star that you were at the Adidas 747 warehouse.
Yeah, so I had to do, so I did a panel discussion with Adidas for the talks, and we were discussing how sport drives things off the court, how rappers may influence the athlete's style and vice versa. And it's such a cool thing. So basically I have a collaboration with Adidas coming in 2018 late, there's footwear, there's apparel. Adidas is such a beautiful thing because they gave me the platform to do things I couldn't normally do. I can't create my own shoe.
Yeah.
It's too expensive. I also, like, as far as sourcing for apparel, they gave me a production team that did crazy things. Like, there's a Hoosiers pant in a colorway that I thought was just pretty, whatever. And, they made it happen for me. So I think Adidas allows people to actually create, which is a wonderful thing. A lot of brands don't do. They put me in the room with their team. They're like a couple of people, and we just went over ideas. And I shot for the stars, and they delivered. Normally I shoot for the stars, and they come back and they're like, "Oh, can't do that, but we can do this." Yeah, Adidas was like, "Yes, we're doing it." So it's really cool to see it come into fruition.
Yeah, we've talked to some people in the past where they said like the only thing that's frustrating about collaborating with brands sometimes is that it's like such a surface level thing. Like it's like, oh, you can change the colorway
100%.
of a Stan Smith, but what are you gonna do beyond that?
Exactly. And I know brands have their agenda during the collaboration, but Adidas really, they give you some parameters, but then they just fall back and let you work. And that's how it should be. That's a collaborative process. They handle production. I have the ideas.
Right.
And that's what I think helps create the product that they've been creating for the past. They've got a lot of hype right now. So,
yeah.
But yeah, even with New Era, I did a collaboration with them. It was I just like to keep things true to what they are. It was the regular fitted hat, which is what I generally wear. Today we're going Von Dutch, but so I took the regular color, like a Yankees hat, and we just switched out the textile to a wax canvas so that it would age better, whatever, and tell that story. But yeah, there's collaborations always have parameters, and yeah, it's frustrating.
And not to retread a lot of the same ground from the Adidas talk, but to touch on the subject of like rappers affecting athletics and vice versa, what were some of the talking points? What were like, what's been in your experience? Because it was like, you had people early on that were wearing the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they go hand in hand. So let's say Fabulous, what was he playing? He was playing in a celebrity game, and he had on the Python jersey. Then it gets in the vision of these athletes, and then that's who's coming to me to buy the jerseys.
Right.
So I really feel like athletes want to be rappers want to be athletes. I feel like it's just a thing. And now when you have like the NBA tunnel and all of these players are walking through before the game, like, they don't care about anything other than what they're wearing. And like some people go wild. Russell Westbrook is wild.
Yeah.
But then like even James Harden I saw walking through the tunnel the other day, and he looked good. Yeah. Athletes are sort of figuring it out.
Yeah, shout out to Allen Iverson for being a literal decade ahead of the curve.
Allen Iverson was always like on the mood board. I don't have one, but if I did, he would be there just because he had like oversized suits, weird shit, but he was like...
He wore a chain with his jersey.
Wore a chain with the jerseys, throwing a durag on in warm-ups. Like, he was just having fun. He had me as a kid playing Christian youth basketball with an arm sleeve on and finger bands. I don't know what they did, but...
What are finger bands for?
Exactly.
Sweat on the fingers.
Are you serious?
Possibly. No. Yeah, but I think
the inspo behind the headbands and stuff? Because you have put those out.
Oh yeah, so I did headbands. Yes, I can't personally wear a headband. I tried when I was a child, but it didn't work out. But I made headbands that were 97% alpaca fur. It was wild warm, yeah. And that was, again, just switching it up, making it a little bit more luxe. And
Elevated.
it was weird, but people liked it. And like I did a cashmere silk durag. Again, not for me, but I understand what needs to be out there. And
Cashmere durag.
yeah, it was wild.
Wild. Yeah. So it seems like you have like a leniency more so towards like basketball. Do you ever like think about like delving into like other sports outside of that? You mentioned like the New Era collab, which is baseball also.
Yeah, every sport has great silhouettes. I think I'm so short-sighted in focusing on basketball. Like that's definitely I have to work on that. But
I think the first time I saw one of yours, it was the Jordan 45 White Sox.
Yeah,
jersey.
the 45 White Sox went like Travis, Rocky, Ian Connor. Like that was a hit with everyone just because. But again, it comes down to basketball. People love Michael Jordan for basketball, not baseball.
I didn't even think of it like that.
So
damn.
Yeah. But every sport has its own silhouette. Like there are even baseball pants from like the 30s that are super cool. They have like a belt at the bottom. It's all about figuring out what works. Right now, basketball works for me. I think in due time, I have to grow it to sort of focus on everything. But basketball was my inspiration as a kid. I played basketball and lacrosse.
Wow.
Lacrosse gear is cool, but that's why I make like short shorts. That's the fun part of that. There's not really much else you can make. A lacrosse jersey is not that fun.
A penny.
Yeah, we can make pennies, a little reversible, but yeah.
And this might be a weird question. Has a basketball player ever asked you to make them a jersey, like their own jersey?
Yeah, and it's just like, and I hope that they're framing it because I hope you're not walking around in your own jersey.
It's like
we're not going to name names, but yeah, I would just be like, really? That's what you want? Like me, I would never wear a jersey with my own name. Yeah, I hope they frame it because that's like a whole nother level of cocky.
Yeah, I just want my name in Python.
Yeah, like.
Well, on the topic of like wearing like, you know, your products and stuff, do you ever see like consumers wear it like to play in? Like for instance with the shorts?
Not really. Like in some summer rec leagues, yes. But generally, no. The mesh shorts people could definitely wear. But if you wear, like I just did a latex tearaway pant, if you wear that on the court, you're going to be sweating. So it's not always the most functional stuff. Yeah. I mean, for day-to-day life, yes, absolutely. But if you throw it on the court, you're going to be in a world of hurt.
I do kind of like that, though, because like you said, it's like the alpaca fur headband. It's like, you are toasty.
Exactly. Like, and I released those in the summer, not thinking about like that was me again being short-sighted. I was like, oh yeah, this is wonderful. And then people were like, yeah, I'm sort of sweating. And I was like, probably should have wear tested that.
Yeah, so to come full circle, like, you know, and speaking about like going from DIY to like, you know, manufacturing it yourself and now partnering with Adidas on a collaboration, and you mentioned like footwear being involved, like how was it to really finally work on like your own shoe?
It was surreal. Like I didn't really know what was happening until I got the first sample in the mail. I was waiting around all day for that. So we worked on, it's going to be like their lifestyle basketball silhouette. There's like an on-court version, and then it's called the Boost Shoe Wear. It's one of the most beautiful shoes. So Adidas came to me with that shoe, and I saw it, and I was like, this is it. It's got a very like 90s flair to it, while at the same time being forward in 2018. So we did that, and then there's a retro shoe. They're like you'll see there's a retro shoe, and then there's also a current shoe.
Nice.
And it was crazy just to see my initials on a shoe, anything with a big brand like that. So designing a shoe was something I'm great at color blocking, so I guess that's where it came in handy. And then materials, obviously I know how to source that, but it wasn't until like they're like, oh, you can't use this suede here because it bleeds onto the bottom of the shoe. I'm not used to getting no as an answer. I'm used to just doing it. You know, that's the best part about being solo is I have no one to tell me no. I just do it, and if it doesn't work out, awesome. But generally it works out. Yeah. With Adidas, they actually have to think about the consumer and think like, oh, you know, if they wear this in the rain, it may bleed, so on and so forth. So it got difficult when I couldn't personally understand it, but I sort of just had to put the ball in their court and trust them. Yeah,
I was gonna ask, as far as materials concerned, would you do you shy away from using Python because you'd used it so much in the jerseys?
To me, the Python stuff is dead.
Like you played it out, like you kind of were like, okay.
And that's why I was happy to transition out of it. I had like the Python stuff to me is just dead. It's like beating a dead horse. It was cool. It got my name out there, and it gave me a platform to sort of speak. And then. Yeah. And
with this platform that you now have, like what's like your long-term goal as far as with the brand in terms of like, you know, what you do currently for sportswear?
Long-term would just be building it out into not necessarily collections, but more so larger capsules. And, you know, I focus so much on e-com just because I enjoy that, but I need to focus more on building outwards. I'm from Syracuse. So end game would be I would love to have a store there. There's nothing there for the kids to actually buy. They have like general release Jordans, all that fun stuff, but there's no like the kid and there's a college campus there. The kids need access to cool stuff. So I would like to branch out and just hit college towns with stores. Like to me, that's the end game. Everyone is super focused on major cities, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
You know, like go somewhere else. So I'd like to take it back to where I'm from.
Also, you mentioned like the Hoosiers pants and stuff like that. Are you more into college sports than professional sports?
Yeah, I actually don't like. I like the NBA. I could appreciate it.
Yeah.
But the only sport that I actually care about is college basketball. Like I was at the Syracuse game last night at the Barclays Center. They have another game tonight if this weather would let up. College basketball is all I like.
I was gonna say because that seems like a no-brainer as far as expanding it goes.
Yeah, so it's like, and I already have the kids on the team, whatever. So Syracuse is my end game, putting something there
in your
like,
hometown.
Yeah, extending that legacy there. But yeah, college sports are really what do it for me. Just because the kids play with much more passion, they're not getting a check they should. But
yeah.
Shout out to the NCAA.
Yeah,
Please sponsor
that is
the pod.
best business model ever. They don't pay those kids $1. I mean, they do, but yeah, they get an education.
They do, but then they can't have their friends buy them chicken wings in a fucking cafeteria. It's so twisted.
Yeah,
like, it's the weirdest business model in the world. Like these kids go out, play their heart out, and they don't get a check.
Trying to make millions of dollars for the schools.
Exactly.
So. Yeah, sponsor the pod, NCAA.
Here we are.
Yeah.
So that's. I mean, aside from the NCAA's ethics and all that, it does sound like the college thing would be really cool. I do think like a college.
I enjoy it. And kids love college graphics. They love, like, obviously the Nebraska thing is a hit. Like, it's like a college slab font. Everything collegiate is so simple. It's not overdone. It's not like a Miami Dolphins logo, like a fish. Like, none of that. It's very, traditional colors in a traditional way, simple. And that's what people like. So.
Yeah. What have you got coming down the pipeline besides the Adidas as far as
Adidas New Era?
This summer will be all just basketball shorts, really. I found that my consumer enjoys that, so I'm really going to push with it. There's like a New York Knicks one that I just switched out. I don't know. So basically, I'm going to hit all summer with just basketball shorts. I want to have a tournament. So past summer, I did this NYC Jam tournament.
Okay.
I think there were like 9 teams. Every single team had a different short. There were like Supersonics, Bulls, Lakers, stuff like that. I want to continue that just because, again, these kids are the future. So that's what I want to attack.
Have you done a March Madness capsule?
I haven't. I should, but I really only care about Syracuse, so it'd be very biased. There's like
It's an all orange capsule.
Yeah, there's like plaid Syracuse stuff that I have coming, but it's so hyper focused on what I care about. But at the end of the day,
kind of cool though. It's your brand, right? Like,
that's my voice. So
that's actually perfect.
Yeah, actually, I had a question. So, like, have you ever had rappers like hit you up to do like their merchandise, for instance, like because like Bad Boys had like the leather jerseys.
Yeah.
ASAP Mob also had some jerseys at 1.2, and Rockefeller with the basketball jerseys. It's like, have you ever thought about that?
The only thing I ever did is I did a Master P, the No Limit, the green. Master P back in the day had one. Rocky wanted that, so we did it out of like a mesh with lambskin lettering and all that stuff. So No Limit is the only merch I really did, but that was for Rocky.
A bootleg No Limit.
Yeah,
jersey.
Bootleg No Limit, but it was wonderful. And that's it. People approach me, but I just don't see it as a fit just because, I don't know.
You got to be careful and move different.
Yeah,
and you never know what these rappers are going to say. It's like, I don't want to put my name to that.
Yeah, true. 6
like,
months down the line.
6'9", I do not. Keep it.
Pass.
Yeah.
Pass.
Hard pass.
I like his music, though.
Just not a good person.
Yeah.
That guy's trash. And usually when we kind of bring it towards the end, we like to go full circle. And usually if you could, I guess the situation is if you could go back, talk to the 13-year-old Eric Emanuel in Syracuse, what piece of advice would you give yourself with the wisdom that you have now?
I think it would basically just like trust your instincts. When I graduated, my family was like, I don't know about this. Like, you got a 4-year degree, whatever. And I was like, look, just trust me. It's going to work. Trust yourself, because generally if you believe in it, it'll work. Like there are moments where I doubt things, but then, you see the reception on the internet and you're like, oh, wow, like it was a hit. So again, just don't doubt yourself. Just believe in it. And I'm lucky to have a lot of people around me that believed in it since day one. So that helps.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, thanks for dropping by.
Yeah, thanks so much for making it out here in the snow, dude.
Cool, I'm here.
Yeah. Excellent.
Thank you, guys.
Dang, cut.